single day I'm gonna make something great. That's my way. Every single day I'm gonna make something great. That's my way.
Hey, it's Kulipup here again. So I was just sitting here and I'm like super tired today. My body's going through some changes and of course new cycles and everything like that, and it hits me like, you know, how the full moon and the new moon energy hits a lot of people. So whenever my body's going through this, I get very, very tired, a little defensive, and so forth. So you could see it in my face and hear it in my voice. But one of the things this produces is this need to speak on my experiences, because I'm not the only one who does this cycle of new energy, this accelerated healing where it just knocks you out. Like, I know a lot of you guys feel it, and especially if you are a regular follower of my words and, you know, part of my group, and you know, we do go through a lot of things. Sorry, it just my kids left cards out because we're of course practicing manifestation. Yeah, my kids left cards out and we're practicing manifestation with it. Anyway, my daughter is, and she's winning all of her card games now. So, of course, my son and my husband are having trouble. She's beat them, I think, like 10 times in a row. Anyway, sorry about that. I had to pick up our card games flying all over the place with the wind. So, I wanted to, while I'm going through this transition and while I'm just like tired and just, you know, it's hard because you want to meditate, but your body is so tired and you want to have that clarity in yourself. But again, you're so tired. So when you're constantly fighting the good fight against, the god of death and, all of that, the demons that follow, you're just kind of just like, whoa, so you get a little bit, vulnerable when you are tired. So let me tell you where some of the vulnerability comes from, or let's understand what's happening when you get real tired and you're just like, I don't feel the same way. Let's go through it. So one of the things that's happening right now with myself is whenever I get tired physically, because I'm very, very, very capable mentally. My vessel is built for speed, agility, strength, lots of strength. But I have not, throughout my years on this planet, in this lifetime, utilized this. I did when I was a child, but, as soon as you get into adulthood and jobs come into place and work and paying bills and everything, you don't really have your body of the youth anymore, right? And bad eating and everything. So I get very, very, very tired easily when my body is put under stress in the material. Ethically, I can go on for days, it doesn't matter, but in the material, I get really, really tired. Now, as I get really tired, like I mentioned, vulnerability comes into place. And this is, again, happens for a lot of individuals. Now, this is what happens. There are certain entities that will try to infiltrate, and demons who will try to infiltrate you during these moments of vulnerability. Now, when I say I am vulnerable, I do not mean in a sense where I am about to burst into tears every 5 moments, like every 5 minutes. Although there were times back in the past that I was, because I was holding in so much toxicity. But now I find that I'm more prone to frustration and the anger. I'm very, very touchy or picky. when these things happen. So the entities and the demons, they use this moment. There is a part of yourself that when you are constantly fighting this fight, you are constantly in a place of defense, right? And it is of choice, right? And because it takes a lot more energy to go on offense. So as I'm sitting here thinking and being my normal self when I'm not super tired, I have the energy to flow away from certain desires and certain emotions. One of those emotions is, don't take this the wrong way, but bloodlust for hunting in the ethereal, for demon hunting. When you've been fighting and, using your heart to just be like, nah, you know what, I'm not even going to focus on you, you stupid demon. I'm just going to blast you away with all the love I'm radiating throughout the world. And that's how I'm going to deal with you, which is the most effective way. However, when I get to the points where I'm tired, I get into the stage where I'm not going to blast you away with love. I'm going to blast you away with my sword. And I'm going to drive it straight through whatever black hole that you have, dissolve you from the inside, dissect you. Just like, where are you? kind of thing, right? And this is, and I go more so on the offensive, but to be honest with you, it's not a good... It's effective, don't get me wrong. I can eliminate a lot of things, but it's just a waste of energy because it doesn't eradicate the issue. It just temporarily, it's like, winning the battle, but, the war is still being fought. I'd rather win the war so I don't have to fight no more, right? So, and especially when you have a bloodlust, even if it's just in the ethereal, and even if it's like, I'm not physically harming anybody or anything within the present moment, within the material, because the material is life. The material is me. And I would never harm anything in the material. But in the ethereal, when you see these bastards, and I know you've seen them, the flashes of the eyes, right? You'll close your eyes and then you'll just have this image of big black eyes. Sometimes the pupils are red or maybe orange or maybe blue or maybe yellow. Or yellow and red, or yellow and orange, and yellow or green, or something like that, right? And I know you see them, and sometimes you just get real tired of seeing that shit. Anyway, but it's not a good space to be in, because it means that you are being triggered with your own negative emotions. And we gotta get out of this. Anyway. So, one of the things that happens anyway after I've been speaking for like 7 minutes. Just about me being tired and what it feels like. One of the things that they do is when you're in this state of vulnerability, or when I'm in this state of vulnerability to my own reactions, I really have to think about what it is that's happening, this emotion that I'm feeling. There is a demon called Gilgamesh. And please I'm going to be very, very frank. Names that I come out with, Balthazar, Gilgamesh, and you can no doubt find them. If you want to Google them, you can. But just remember, I don't get my information from Google. You can probably read up a bunch of things and be like, no. Gilgamesh is this, or Balthazar is that person, and so forth. And I'm like, that's fine. I don't really care. You can do that all you want. I get my information from my source. I get my information from closing my eyes, going into the ethereal and seeing these little bastards. Knowing them, feeling their vibration. So, just please bear that in mind. When you hear me speak a name, I don't get this information from Google. I got it from personal bloody experience with these little butt sniffs. Anyway, so Gilgamesh is a demon, an entity of fear. And, so let's wait for the wind to go. And what he does is very sly and very sneaky. He's not like the other entities where they talk to you. And they because the other entities, the other demons can literally talk to you. When you find them out, they'll speak back to you and they'll chat shit to you, right? They'll be like, wow, you finally discovered it, blah, 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 blah. And you're just like, yeah, whatever. Gilgamesh doesn't really talk to you. If he speaks, it's tactical. It's very, very purpose-driven. If he speaks to you, he will speak to you in your own voice, in your own tones, so subtly. Even when you find him out, he does not speak back to you. He just continues on like a robot, in a way. The way a robot just won't chat shit, won't try to rile you up, won't do anything, will just be very calculated and go back to the same thing. The same purpose, right? Because a lot of these demons and these entities, they can be triggered, their own insecurities or their own, well, I guess they are just ego at the end of the day, but they can be triggered and they can be riled up and just be like, I'm going to come get you. But Gilgamesh doesn't seem to do that. Or it would take quite a lot of you stopping the flow of what he is trying to do in order to put a little bit more oomph into it. So what his purpose is, or what his main goal is to refocus your heart's flow and desire to one of hurt, pain, suffering, doom, pity, insecurity. Because we all have our natural flow. You know, when we're just in the moment or in the zone, as you could probably call it, and we're just flowing. We're just like, yeah, we're having a great time. How do you flow? What do you know what your flow is made of to make you have a great time, right? Well, that's just your heart. You're just following what feels good and flowing with it. Well, he takes that flow and he alters it by using your confusion, your lack of discipline, your lack of knowing against you, right? When I say lack of discipline, I mean lack of discipline in your mind and in your heart. You know, if you do not have a strong resolve or a strong will to know what it is that you want, what you truly desire, right? Gilgamesh will come in there and he'll alter that flow and tell you what else you desire. Right? So, and this is one of the reasons why this is so important to understand and to hone your will, hone your focus, and just be like, you know what, this is what I want and I'm sticking to it. Because if he can convince you through coming at you within your own thoughts and your own mind and directing your flow, he can convince you that you want things that you don't, right? And if he can do that, what you'll do is you'll think, oh, I want this. But then when you get it, because you're manifesting it now, as soon as you say, I want this, and you put that out into the universe goes, got it. They take part of your energy and it goes towards manifesting that for you. But the thing is, if you're manifesting things you truly didn't want in the first place, two things basically happen. One is either you realize that you don't want it, and so now you don't carry forward on the action. If you don't carry through on the action that you've asked the universe for, it causes a backlog. The energy starts to pool within you and it needs to be released. And the only way it can release it is if you frickin' just do it and get it done, right? It's basically suppression, right? If you suppress yourself, that suppressed energy just starts to build and build and build with whatever it is that you've suppressing yourself for, and it causes disruption in your body. Go away, little ant. Right? Now, the other thing that happens, though, so that's the first thing. You either suppress it or you actually carry the action through. Now, if you carry through with the action and you didn't want it in the first place, that causes you to have a negative reaction to it. Now, that negative reaction, that negative reaction will basically mean that you have a whole bunch of negative emotions that come with it. Sometimes guilt, shame, doubt, mistrust, anger, hurt, suffering, doom, despair. And that is where the entities like to feed on you more, and it feeds on other. So Gilgamesh will direct the flow, kind of like the cook in the kitchen, right? Cooking up a great meal to serve to all the other individuals, right? So he's a tricky bastard, that one. Because then if he can get you to follow through on your desire that you did not want in the first place, and you then despair over your decision, and now you're fearing the further consequence, well, now you're going to feed the entity of doom. Or you're guilty, you're feeling guilty about it, now you're going to feed some other entity that feeds off the specific emotion of guilt. So then you're like, well, shit. What am I going to do with that? And this is what he tries to do. So, Gilgamesh, he won't speak to you. He won't try to goad you. He won't try to do anything. But what he will do is sneak up on you when you are tired, when you are lacking resolve, when you are lacking willpower, when you are unfocused and don't know what you want. He's going to come in there and whisper things that you do want. That you do want. A way of, I suppose, an example. What's a good example of what Gilgamesh would do? For myself, he would often try to direct my focus to the entity of fear, right? Always, because Kulipup controls him and uses him as a way to siphon off more energy. So one of the fears he tries to direct my focus to is one of lust, sexual lust, and one that of physical desires. Because I'm not an individual that has sex, lustful sex. I'm an individual that has love or makes love. That is my being. That's who I am. Like, sex is a result of love, right? Sex is literally the result of love making. And you make love by knowing an individual, by knowing their heart, by knowing their being, by knowing their thoughts, by, enjoying them and appreciating them and being in gratitude with them. You've heard me say this all before. But when you have nothing but lust, it's just a waste. You don't produce any energy from it. You don't do anything. And here's the thing. My purpose is to literally make love with every single source, fractal, and spirit of mankind. Again, to make love to you is not just having sex. It is, that's the definition we've chosen in the material. But in the ethereal, it's simply to know you, to gain and build on information. So when I make love to you, it is because I'm putting my focus on you and I'm knowing you. And with that, there is an exchange in energy. Because as I know you, I gain all of your experiences. I gain all the knowledge that you have gained through your experience, right? And in return, I give you vast amounts of energy, right? So for your experience. So that's my job. That's how we reproduce as light beings, because light is energy and energy is information, right? So, and with that we grow. So again, that's how we reproduce. That's how I reproduce in the ethereal. And that's how we grow. But I can't do that if I'm simply just being in lust. Lusting after the feeling of the energy transfer, but when there's no energy really being received, it's just so useless. So what he would do, what Gilgamesh would do, is get into my thoughts. And as he's directing my desires, or trying to direct my desires, I get the thoughts telling myself what it is that I want. Because I ask that all the time, because I'm always manifesting. I'm saying, what is it that I truly want? And then in my own voice, in my own ways, I want love, of course. I want love. Because I am love. But when I would say in my mind, because as soon as I think it, I start manifesting it, I want lust would come in. The word lust. If I attach to that word for even a second, that is what starts manifesting. There's so much energy is then poured into I want lust, that phrase, which I do not want that, but so that's not what I want. But every time I say that, there's a portion of my energy will go into the lust bank, right? Because I said it, because I attached to it for a fraction of a second. So what I have to do is I have to correct that. I have to know that's not my desire. That was Gilgamesh. That was an infiltration. I want heart. So I changed the word from love to heart because lust and love sound very similar. But if I say heart, he cannot change it to lust, right? So I say, I want heart, right? And just being really, really firm with my resolve and my will. Because the transfer of energy does feel very good. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that it doesn't. If you've ever truly made love to anybody before, if you've ever truly felt their energy in your heart, it is like an orgasm in your heart, that transfer. Not in your groin, not in your nether regions, but if you've ever had an orgasm and you've felt that intense, just the heat, the vibration, the intense vibration, it's no longer down there. It's through the heart. So it does trigger some very, very strong feelings and strong emotions, and it's just so wonderful, right? And it makes you feel the beauty in everything and the love and the light, and it's an absolutely amazing way to grow and develop and to transfer energy to be better. But again, if you're not strong in what you want, that like, hey, I want that right here, not down there, right? Because as soon as you say I want lust, that energy goes from being in your heart to being in your nether regions, to being in your groin. And then that triggers, of course, sexual desire. And there's plenty of times it's like, look, I don't even want that. I'm tired of shit. Do you see these eyes? Like, I'm tired. That's not what I want. I just want heart. But then once the energy is in the lust bank there, you gotta frickin' use it at some point. And when you don't want to use it, like I say, you either use it or it stays there and festers. And if you don't want to blastedly well use it, then you're just like, fuck. But then you're just like, now I have to use energy that I don't even want to use. Right? Because Gilgamesh got in there and was able to manipulate me to believing that I wanted this for half a second. Now that's me. Imagine what he can do if you're not disciplined. Imagine if he's telling you when you're in a relationship, I just want comfort. I just want kindness and compassion and so forth. But really, your heart wants strength. Your heart doesn't want to be comforted by the person that you're with. Your heart wants to be free to do other things. But now you're going to have to find a way to fulfill this desire that you've requested with an individual that is not providing it for you. And then you're going to put your whole entire desire bank, which will now depend on another individual, right? And in this game of life, you cannot control another individual's wants, needs, or journey, right? You cannot force another individual to show you kindness and compassion. They have to do it upon their own will, right? So now you have given your own power to another individual, thanks to Gilgamesh. And that energy is going to need to be expelled, right? Ah, fucking Gilgamesh. Anyway, this is a really long video, so... And I don't want it to be hard to upload. I may have to make it a couple parts, who knows. Anyway, Gilgamesh. The guy that'll sneak in there when you're tired, be like a frickin' AI robot, and try to direct your flow and heart's desires to falsities and lies. So how do you overcome this? Strengthen your will, hone your focus, and be firm in your resolve to know what it is that you want and what it is you truly desire. Not what it wants to make you desire, but what you truly desire. Alrighty, I'm gonna go take a nap. Bye, guys.